Hi, I'm Robin. Thank you for tuning in. In the introductory video, we talked about how a variety of health conditions and symptoms can be related to one common underlying cause, and that is a persistent stress response. Now, in this video, we'll talk about how for somebody where the stress switch is stuck in the on position, that can impact sleep, recovery, and your immune system. Alright, so as a quick revision, if you're in a stressful situation, if you're in a situation where the brain perceives as a threat, the body switches into survival mode, and you will recognize that as the fight or flight response. In that response, the brain releases very, very powerful hormones to the body, which is mainly adrenaline and cortisol. And today we'll mainly talk about cortisol. So this is one of the fundamental components of the fight or flight response. And one of the main functions is that it initially increases our immune response. So that's fantastic. If I get in a fight, the risk of getting an infection from an injury and things like that is reduced. It's fantastic. Now, cortisol, however, is also directly linked to the sleep and wake cycles, and the fancy term for that is the circadian rhythms. In a healthy body, usually how that works is that in the morning the cortisol levels are highest, and that's helping our brain and body to get started during the day and to get a little boost in our immune response as well. And then during the day the cortisol levels fluctuate, being lowest at night. And with that low at night, it helps us getting a little bit sleepy and also wanting us to go get some rest. Now, in a person who is impacted by a persistent stress response where the switch is stuck in the on position, that unfortunately doesn't work that way, and the cortisol levels don't fluctuate during the day as much, or possibly they're also overall elevated as well. And that's impacting us in different ways. And in order to understand that better, I invite you to just go back in time with me a few thousand years back into a day where we're still dealing with predators such as saber-toothed tigers, for example. Imagine me being in a saber-toothed tiger encounter, and there's a fight. My fight or flight system gets activated, the stress response gets activated, and this time there's no winners or losers in that fight. The saber-toothed tiger gets away, I get away with my life intact as well. I come back home to my cave at night, and I realize, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen. That saber-toothed tiger is still out there, and I don't know if I'm actually perfectly safe here or not. So I have to make sure that maybe that thing picked up my scent, and I have to make sure tonight that I do not fall into that really, really deep sleep where I don't know what's going on anymore. I have to make sure that every little noise can wake me up so that if something happens, I survive and I stay safe in that situation. So, coming back to present time, we're obviously not dealing with tangible predators like that, at least the majority of us don't. And the threats are a lot more obscure than that. And it doesn't have to be something traumatic, but we're still affected by things such as having to give a presentation at work, or having an argument with our partner, having financial troubles, having challenges in parenting, things like that. This can weigh on us, and this can be a threat that's perceived by the brain, and as a result of that, the cortisol levels staying stuck and elevated in that position as well. So how that's impacting people and sleep is that the majority of people either they take a long time to fall asleep in the first place. If and when they do, they wake up during the night and then really struggle to fall asleep again, or they never really get into that deep, restful sleep state. And that's obviously directly impacting the quality of our sleep, where sleep is either interrupted, or even people don't get enough sleep, or if they do get enough sleep, 8 to 10 hours, they wake up in the morning and they're still completely shattered, as if they didn't sleep at all. And as you can imagine, that obviously directly impacts our recovery. We know how important sleep is for recovery, and we know that during the night the brain is trying to get rid of toxins, the body is trying to recover, it's trying to recover the muscles and fill up the energy stores again, and that really impacts your ability to recover from exercise, to not feel sore for a couple of days, or to even just be able to have good energy during the day. If you're active and you're getting injured, then people get injured more easily. Or if you have existing injuries as well, it takes a lot longer to recover from an injury. All that can be directly linked back to the stress response as well. Now, as you can imagine, that would also impact our immune system. And imagine how I said earlier that cortisol in the stress response increases our immune response. Well, it does. However, that effect unfortunately doesn't last forever. It only lasts a very, very short period of time. And with the cortisol levels still elevated, then unfortunately the body has to start compensating with an imperfect adaptation, which is the inflammatory response. And you'll end up with signs of global inflammation, achy muscles, achy joints, having food intolerances or problems with absorption or things like that. And that, unfortunately, linked to the sleep problems as well, is directly impacting the body's ability to defend itself against actual infections and actual threats. So the combinations of those things, unfortunately, leave you in a bit of a bad space in terms of recovery and immune system, and they are directly linked to each other as well. Now, another thing, unfortunately, that's also a consequence of the cortisol levels is that a part of the brain called the hippocampus that's dealing with learning new things, making decisions, regulating the nervous system, all these kind of things is getting damaged over time as well, leaving your brain and your body a lot less adaptable to actual threats and also increasing the likelihood of getting sick over time. All right, so there was a lot to take in. We haven't even touched on, limiting absorption, increasing appetite, how the cortisol then changes the storage of nutrients, prioritizing it, getting into fat, making it very easy to gain weight and struggle to lose weight. We've got another video up for that though. Yeah, we hope that you got some good information out of this. If you got curious, if there's other questions that you want answers, please by all means get in touch. If you just want to make sure if and how you're affected by a stress response, I would love to see you for an assessment here in the practice to get that checked out and make sure that everything's okay. And the team and I look forward to seeing you soon. And we do whatever we can in our power to contribute to your lifetime of health.